Hello, Wanderers. Welcome back to our Crusader Kings 3 roleplay series following Jon Targaryen here in the Game of Thrones mod. Now, at the end of the last episode, we were successful in our war against Viserys Targaryen and Aegon of House Blackfire, another pretender who was claiming the throne. And now we have returned home now that the war is over, and we have a decision to make, and that is a decision on whether we shall follow our heart or we shall follow our head. And that pertains to whom we are going to marry. Now, I left the decision up to a poll, and though it was very tight at the beginning, in the end, it seems as though the majority do favor following our heart. And I believe that that makes a lot of sense. Jon, in this version of the world, was raised by Rhaegar Targaryen, also by Arthur Dayne, but largely by his father Rhaegar, and grew up with tales of love and of following your heart and doing what you feel is the right thing to do. And obviously, Rhaegar's decision to elope with Lyanna Stark did end up causing a war, but I don't know if that would have necessarily turned his mind away from that. Rhaegar was a very firm believer in what he thought was right. I think that that is something that was very true of that character in the books. He was very confident that what he did was right. And I think even though the war may have caused a lot of destruction in the realm, I still think Rhaegar believes what he did was the right thing, and partially that was because he believes that Jon here is essentially part of this prophecy that Rhaegar ended up becoming deeply invested in the early parts of his life. And so I think that it makes sense that he would raise his son to be someone who has confidence in following his heart, and thus leaving the decision here between marrying Lady Salan of the Vale of House Grafton here, a woman who we don't care for. She is known to be kind of callous and selfish, gluttonous, not particularly the type of person that we would get along with, obviously. Or Barbary Dustin, the daughter of one of our most loyal vassals in the north, one of the most loyal and powerful vassals in the north. Obviously, by breaking our betrothal with House Grafton, we would be burning a lot of bridges and making ourselves some enemies. But as the decision was made, it seems as though we will be following our hearts and marrying Barbary Dustin here. So that is going to be how we play out these next few events here. So as we return from King's Landing, I believe that we will be sending word here to Lord Grafton of the Vale. Do we have an excuse for breaking our betrothal? Probably not a good one, but it is what we are going to do. So we're going to go in here and break off our betrothal, obviously angering the Lord Paramount Gerald Grafton here and potentially making an enemy of him. And we are going to go to our good vassal, Lord Willem Dustin, and we are going to ask him for the hand of his daughter in marriage. Now I need to take a moment to do a few things with console commands to let that happen, but we are going to come back once that is all set up. So, took care of a few things off screen, but here we are petitioning Lord Willem Dustin for the hand of his daughter, Barbary Dustin, in marriage. Barbary is one of the first people who showed us kindness and respect when we came to the north. We developed a friendship and something of feelings of affection for each other. And I think even during those long 10 years of war, almost a decade of fighting in the south, we occasionally would exchange letters with Barbary, and she would probably have been a large part of the reason why we were able to keep track of things in the north and exchanging those letters, ostensibly to, gain news from the north, but they probably had a little bit more of a personal effect to them as well. And so we are going to return home, go to our vassal, the most powerful vassal here in the north, actually, House Dustin. I went and looked, and they are the most powerful house in the north at the moment. So we will be going to him and asking him for the hand of his daughter in marriage. And we shall see if he accepts. Our betrothal has been broken, obviously, you see there. Greetings, my implacable liege. I gladly accept your marriage proposal. You will be joined with my daughter Barbary in holy matrimony. May Garth Greenhand bless your union. Signed, Lord Willem of the Barrowlands. Excellent. And so, obviously, this will have had some effect on our relations with the Vale. I have no doubt that the Lord of the Vale will probably consider us to be something of a enemy now after we spurned his sister in such a way. You can see here that Lord Paramount Gerald here is now our rival. Indeed, he is. We actually have quite a few rivals. One of them also being Lady Salan here, who obviously we did spurn by breaking that betrothal. So understandable that the Graftons have a grudge against us, and I think we'll have to kind of watch out for them. I don't know if the other lords of the Seven Kingdoms particularly care too much. I mean, it would be seen as a dishonorable act to break that betrothal. But on the other hand, obviously, Lord Paramount Jon here has proven himself as one of the greatest warriors of the realm and essentially a hero of the Seven Kingdoms by winning those wars for King Aegon. So, breaking the betrothal, but also really being known as something of a hero and a great warrior, those things might even out a little bit. As for how the Lords of the North would treat that, considering that the North is a place that highly values honor, there may be some Northern Lords who would look ill upon us breaking this betrothal promise. That I could definitely see. But on the other hand, I imagine that many of the Lords of the North would look upon this development very kindly. And that's because out of anything, more than honor and anything like that, I think that the Lords of the North would very much care about the fact that they're being ruled by a Southerner, by someone who is essentially someone from the South who's being put as this lordly position above them. I think that the Lords of the North would have hated that. But by marrying a lady of the North, of a very powerful house in the North, I think that we would have essentially assuaged some of those fears of being ruled by a Southerner. Now we're building closer ties with the North and essentially saying that we may have come from outside, but as a lord, I want to integrate with my people here. I want to be a good Lord of the North, and I want to give the people of the North a prominent position here in the Seven Kingdoms. And so by marrying a prominent noble lady of the North, I think that we are doing that. I think that by marrying Barbary here, this has also given us reason to essentially look at our roots a little bit more and in the faith of the people here of the North. So you can see that I have changed our religion to Wirewood of the Seven. And although we are very new to this, I think that it makes a lot of sense that, perhaps after visiting the gods would here in Winterfell, you know, speaking with Barbary, speaking with many of our other subjects, learning more about the old gods, I think that we would develop something of a respect for them and an understanding that although we are Rhaegar Targaryen's son, we are also the son of Lyanna Stark. And I think it's important to our character, Jon, who is somebody who is diligent here. He would see that as part of his duty, is of part of understanding his subjects, to be understanding of their religion. And I think we are kind of making some footsteps here. So I've set our faith as Werewood of the Seven, and that is a religion that is, I think, only held by House Royce here down in the Vale, but it's essentially kind of a for Faith of the Seven followers who also have some respect for the old gods. And so, you know, going and visiting the Godswood, the Werewood tree, and having some respect for that religion, I think is pretty important. I could have set the faith kind of manually. We can convert to faith using this function here, but as I was looking at it, I did see that if we had done that option, all of our vassals would have converted to Werewood of the Seven, which doesn't make a lot of sense. So I just set our faith to that specifically. But I think that makes a lot of sense. We'll see if this kind of mixture of religions here takes hold among any of our other subjects. I'm curious to see if that does end up being the case as this campaign goes on. But that is as it is. So we will marry our wife here, and we shall see what comes of that. And hopefully she will bear us a child. But here we have the wedding celebration. With my marriage to Barbary, the realm expects us to throw a suitably extravagant wedding celebration. It is well within my right to collect a royal aid duty as part of this, but some may consider it tasteless to levy an extra tax during a time of jubilation. Indeed, we won't be levying an extra tax here. I think we will let our subjects enjoy the festivities without worry or care. We are essentially building ties with the Northern Lords. Having an extra tax, I think, does not make a lot of sense towards that decision. So we won't be doing that. There are a few kind of still rebellious lords who haven't really fully integrated into the realm here. So we'll see how that all plays out. But what I would like to do before we kind of let things go on, I'll let time run, but some of you were asking about the effects of the previous war. What happened after the wars were done? And you'll see here that King Aegon has actually arranged for a marriage between him and Lady Celan of the Vale. This makes a lot of sense. Lord Paramount Gerald is the hand of the king, and as some suggested, after having the betrothal broken with us, he would obviously have been looking to gain a position of power and probably use his sister to gain an even higher position of power. And so by arranging that marriage to our brother, King Aegon VI, after the death of his wife, Rhaenys, during the Civil War, I think that Lord Paramount Gerald, who, as you can see, is hand of the king, I think he would easily be able to arrange such a thing. So the Graftons may hate us, but it ended up giving them a much higher position of power here within the kingdom. Our brother has turned to the milk of the poppy. He has done so for a while, but I suspect here, yeah, he's in a milk of the poppy stupor. He is definitely tending to take a little bit more than even the maesters might suggest. So, but what happened here in the Stormlands? Some pretty interesting things, actually. I didn't really know what the AI was going to do with those characters. Obviously, Viserys was executed. He was captured after that final battle, brought to King Aegon, and executed for his crimes. Quite understandably so. But what happened after that? Well, interestingly enough, his son, Lord Vaegon, was sent to the wall. I didn't actually even realize this was an option. I can see potentially why. Lord Vaegon here, the eldest son of Viserys, kind of growing up to be a bit like his father, cynical, arbitrary, in order to prevent him from essentially becoming a threat to the kingdom. Lord Vaegon has been sent to the wall, despite his young age, and so he will be raised as that. Lord Paramount Daeron still retains his position here as Lord Paramount of the Stormlands. And I think that makes a little bit more sense. He is compassionate. He's a bit younger. I think that King Aegon might see him as a little bit more malleable and will probably want to do everything he can to raise Daeron to be a better man than his father was. So I think that makes a bit of sense. We'll see if this branch of the Targaryens manages to hold the Stormlands. I have no idea if they will be able to or not, but there is that. And I do want to know what happened to the previous holder of this title. No, let's see here. Yeah, okay. Griffin's Pass, claimants. There we go. Aegon Blackfire here. So he is still currently in prison. And the question is, what is Aegon VI going to do with this Blackfire pretender? I suspect this may be the end of the Blackfire line. I don't think he's getting out of prison. He has the refusing marriage trait, so he won't be having children anytime soon. He's in prison, obviously, so this may be the end of the Blackfires. I do not know. But we're going to put a pin in him just to kind of keep track of what happens to this character, whether he's executed or not. Some of you did point out that the new Lord Paramount Jorel of the Iron Islands, he does rule. The Greyjoys have continued to retain that position. But another member of the Night's Watch, Lord Balon Greyjoy, here has been sent to the Night's Watch, and he shall, I mean, he doesn't actually appear to be there. He is a Black Brother, but he hasn't been sent to the wall just yet. I don't know if he's going to go there at some point or how that will work with the game mechanics, but he was exiled to the wall for his crimes of rising up against his king. So that is that. Probably the most interesting thing, and you've probably been wondering what the heck is going on with the Reach. Why have they not integrated with the rest of the kingdom? This is crazy. King Loras Tyrell of the Reach. Yes, Loras Tyrell has named himself King of the Reach, and that is kind of wild. So you'll remember in that last episode, it was the Hightowers. House Hightower led a war to put Loras on as the ruler of the Reach. But not only that, they named him King of the Reach. So in my kind of headcanon here, I imagine that after all of those wars, all of the fighting between these different realms and pretenders coming in and Aegon being not a particularly skilled ruler here, he, milk of the poppy and just generally, like, he did win, but that was 10 years of war. I think it's understandable that the Reach would just say, you know what, we want our own ruler. We don't want to take over the Seven Kingdoms, but the Reach belongs to the Reachmen, and King Loras Tyrell has now been named in that position. So let's look at his traits here. He has wrathful, arrogant, brave, fickle, ruthless. This is a different Loras Tyrell than we know in the books. But I think with these traits, like just looking at these traits, it's pretty understandable that this might be somebody who would name himself King of the Reach. Now, what is that all going to play out as, you know, when these other kingdoms here are looking at the Reach and seeing their independence? Are we going to start to see other independence movements arise? Perhaps in the Westerlands, which is ruled by Tyrion here. He is the master of coin, and I don't suspect that he would be somebody who would do that without carefully calculating the consequences. But what about Edmure Tully? Edmure has plenty of reason to hate the Targaryens. His father, Hoster Tully, was executed by the Mad King after the end of Robert's rebellion. And not only that, but his nieces and nephews were all slain there. The Stark children of Lady Caitlyn here, they were all slain after that war. So it is really a question of whether the Riverlands wants to be free or not as well. Obviously, the Vale has close ties with the Iron Throne. I don't suspect that they will. The Stormlands currently doesn't really have much reason to. The Iron Islands obviously would want some independence. And what about us here in the north? We were kind of spurned by our brother after the end of those rebellions. He withdrew us from the position of Master at Arms and essentially, you know, sent us back to the north after saying, "Good job, brother. We have no more need of you." Well, so be it. I think that we would be a little bit offended by that and feel like our contributions to the war were not properly accepted. I don't think that that would make us want to go independent, certainly not yet, but it does raise some interesting questions, and I like the fact that the Reach is just sitting here as an independent Reach, very powerful one, certainly enough to potentially be able to hold their own independence for a little while. But that question will remain, and yeah, will an independent Reach affect any of these other any of the other 7 kingdoms? I mean, it's a good question. Will Aegon be able to retain that hold? Will he go and try to conquer the Reach? I have no idea how this is all going to play out. But I think for now, we are going to focus on holding the North and making sure that we can solidify our position here as Lord Paramount of the North. Obviously, we would like to continue our dynasty by having some children. So that is the hope there. And essentially making ties with the various lords of the North. Here we have some court events available, so let's take a look at those. Lately, I can't help but notice the gaggles of giggling maidens and usually austere warriors gathering in dark alcoves to listen enraptured to a book. Today, I have finally cornered Muslan with the book in his hands. It is clearly a licentious text, filled to the brim with sensuous temptations, earthly seductions, and supple bosoms. I am silent while I ponder the probable reaction of Montfroy, and Muslan stares at me in apprehension. Oh, my poor eyes. I mean, we are chaste. I think that culture comes in any form. I think that the chaste option here is the one that makes the most sense. So this book seems a little bit scandalous for us, don't you think? Dark thoughts, guilt and shame have been plaguing me of late. All of my sins, my flaws, my failings, these dark thoughts distract me from my responsibilities and keep me awake at night. I feel like this makes sense. I mean, we just fought 10 years of war, you know, have probably killed many people. There's probably a little bit of PTSD going on from that. And essentially now we finally get to marry the woman that we've wanted to marry. And, you know, the question is, you know, are we having probably a little bit of a midlife crisis here? I could see that. I think the option that probably makes the most sense here is that we would just be strong and try to resist these impulses. But it is a good question that we are suffering from this stress here, and we'll see how that all plays out. Secrets and lies. Days go by without it even crossing my mind, but each time I catch Kira's eye at court, I can think of nothing but of her crimes. I wonder how many at court know. Perhaps none, perhaps all. The truth will come out eventually, and it will not do my reputation any good to have such scandals in my courtiers miss. She must be dealt with, or I will have the 7 who are one to reckon with, let alone the court. Enough is enough, the world will know. Only a fool would not leverage this knowledge. She belongs in the dungeon. What did she do? What? Wait, is she... I mean, she's dead now, so... she seems quite sprightly for a dead woman, but it is time for her to leave. There's no need to act yet. Enough is enough, the world must know. I suppose... the fact that she's dead makes this kind of weird, but... you know, I think that we would say that... I don't think we would expose the crimes of a dead woman here. That seems a little dishonorable. So we'll simply say, enough of this, you know, put this aside. The woman is dead, and so be it. You can see Lord Commander Arthur Dane, Sword of the Morning here, still in our court. He is our good friend, and he continues to serve as a king's guard in protecting the brother of the king. So, time passes here. The latest work of my rival, Lord Paramount Gerald, has become all the rage at court of late. The piece is derogatory, inflammatory, and dedicated specifically to me and my unique blend of incompetence and incontinence. Let us read this poem. Meandering all over the north is the title. A lord is not without wisdom, a mocking parody, awaiting schism. When such a man is seen to exist, it makes one want to hurl a fist. I mean, it's not the greatest poetry, but it rhymes. So far, I've kept my thoughts to myself, but the buzz has grown too dramatic to ignore for much longer. Yes, how amusing, Lord Gerald. So we gain some stress because we are offended by Lord Gerald's terrible poetry, but so be it here. He has suffered from a wound. Well, hopefully he suffers greatly for it. This council invitation. Yes, forgot about that. My dear brother, you have been a loyal and devoted subject. I wish to reward you for your service. I'm offering you the position of the Master of Ships. We are going to decline. You can't simply kick us off the council, off of being the master at arms, you know, leading the Seven Kingdoms army, sending us back up north, and then saying, wait, we want you to come back and be the Master of Ships. It just simply... I think that we would say, no, brother, we have important matters to attend to here in the north. That is what you sent us here to do, was it not? To bring the northern lords to heel? Well, let us do that. We can't do that in King's Landing, so we will remain here in Winterfell. Did we offend our brother? Probably, but he offended us as well, so anybody who has brothers, I'm sure you've had your brotherly squabbles and bickering, so despite the fact that we may be kind of bickering like this, I don't think that that would necessarily mean that we would be developing like hatred or rivalry for each other. You know, brothers can love each other despite their squabbles, so we'll see if that continues. I mean, it is certainly possible that we would come to dislike our brother in the future, but see that Lady Solan, or Queen Solan, is actually pregnant here. So, good for them, I suppose. We'll see if she bears him a son who might become the heir of the kingdom. That is a question that remains to be seen. Our own wife is yet to fall pregnant, but one can only hope. She has plenty of time. She's only 23, so I'm not too worried about continuing our dynasty here. Grant vassals to their rightful liege. I suppose we might as well just kind of consolidate these holdings here. That should be good. We have lots of criminals we can imprison. These are all the various lords who rose up against us way back in the very first episode. We won't be imprisoning them. I think that we issue a pardon for all of these lords who rose up against us. Great John Umber, Lord Hallis, the House of Mormont. I think we would just issue blanket pardons and say that that time is over and done with. The time of war is over. It is a time of peace now in the Seven Kingdoms, and we will try to rule peacefully if we can. I mean, that is our job, to bring peace to the north and essentially do what we can to rule justly in the name of our king. What happens here? A gift worthy of a Lord Paramount. A peddler in a cloak with dozens of baubles and knickknacks sewn onto it rattles up to me. I have with me a precious weapon only worthy of your hands, the mighty lance of Andal, the spear of the smith himself. You shall utterly annihilate all the foes on the battlefield with this. She pulls out a tiny shard of metal, which looks rather like a sewing needle. Sell your lies elsewhere. We don't even have any other options here. We're just gonna kick this woman out here. Danes Mazagones. Interesting. Sell your lies elsewhere, woman. Hey, we do not care for your trickery. Oh, we do need a master of ships. Somebody's declaring their love to us. Well, we won't be doing that just yet. Who shall be our master of ships? You know, I think that Lord Willem is currently our marshal, so maybe not him. Flint's Finger. Actually, this is probably a pretty... Well, actually, you know what? The only one that makes sense, so he's not actually going to even be the best for it, but the only one that makes sense would be Lord Mern of White Harbor. White Harbor is the only city in the north of any noticeable size, and I believe, I may be incorrect about this, but I do believe that it is where the North's fleet, if you can call it a fleet, I don't think the North has much of a fleet, but it is, I'm pretty sure, moored at White Harbor. So I feel like it makes sense that we would appoint the Lord of House Manderley as the master of ships. So there we go. He can take that position. Fine suit of armor you've got there. Young Lord Mern of White Harbor. Now, who is this? As I push aside the sheets to lay down, I find a little scroll resting on my bolster. Someone has entered my chambers unnoticed. A chill runs down my spine as I carefully unroll the thick parchment. My noble lion, lord of my heart, I can keep my feelings secret no longer. From this day on, I will do everything in my power to prove my loyal affections. We will see each other soon. Until then, dream of me, love, eternally yours, Cholvi. Who the heck is this woman? Old Gods of the Vale, a mountain clansman woman. What? With consumption. 55 years old, she's got consumption, a wildling woman. Abandon this foolish endeavor immediately. This is... Oh, no idea why she was getting involved like that, but... You know, as... I guess, you know, she heard tales of our strength, and so be it. Let us hold court. First time holding court here in the north, I believe. You can see Lord Mern there is whispering in our ear, trying to, you know, gain influence for his position. And we have our wife, Lady Paramount Barbary, here on the throne with us. Sitting on my throne, I gesture for the guards to approach. Let us see who has come to speak to their lord. First up, we have Lord Kyle of Washbrook. How's rolling forward here? My lord, Bywash Keep has been hit hard by the recent raiding and looting. The people are starving, our fields are not recovering, and our livestock is not enough to survive anymore. We beg you to intervene and to save your devoted subjects with your great magnanimity. Did I say that right? Probably not, but he bows deeply and falls silent. Some gold will help alleviate your sufferings. I will grant you tax relief to get back up. Yeah, all right, I think I like this. We will grant them tax relief here. So we gained a hook on him as well, though, so we could probably, you know, use that later on, potentially. Who do we have here? Master Benfred of Edgewood claims that the lordship of Silverglade, held by Master Ethan of the Wolfswood, and sworn directly to you as part of their de jure territory, and it is in the best interest of the realm for you to return it to their fold. He further states that Master Ethan is not even the rightful lord of the lordship of Silverglade, and rather that House Eliver held it for many years in good faith, sworn to the High Lordship of Edgewood. Oh, this is all confusing. As such, he suggests that it should be reallocated to Jon, whose family have been dispossessed of their historic lands. To further complicate matters, yeah, this is complicated enough. Master Ethan holds titles across the realm. Okay, so Benfred here says that Jon should gain this title. Master Ethan currently holds it. Silverglade is historically the seat of House Eliver. It shall go to Jon. I do not interfere in such things. I mean, we might offend Ethan Glover here a little bit, but if it is historically the seat of House Eliver, then I suppose that it would be the just thing to do to put that in the hands of those who ruled it in the past. Oh, who do we have here? Lord Domeric of Dreadfort. Ah, the Bolton Lord. Oh, looks like Roose did die. He died in his sleep at age 56. I'm sure. Lord Domeric of Dreadfort, a rapacious paragon. Glorious liege, give me the honor of protecting you from your enemies and serving at your side, a responsibility worthy of my talents. I will not let you down. I suppose these jobs have to be done by somebody. What does he want? He wants to be our sworn shield. We have other need of your talents at present. No, I have something special. You know what? Interesting enough, considering that his brother here is Ramsay Snow. Those of you who have watched this show will think that this is fitting, but I think we will appoint Lord Domeric as our kennel master. He seems to like that idea, though. Anyways, he's lazy, so he probably likes the idea of just, managing the kennel, managing our hunting dogs. Wouldn't be surprised if that is something right up his alley. And there we go. The petitioners depart, and we have essentially done our duties here in seeing and hearing out those petitioners. And now the lords come to pay homage to us as the Lord of the North. We will have to go and pay homage to our liege ourselves at some point here. But what is this? I have ridden, taken aim, and struck so many times that I thought nothing could upset my rhythm. As I take yet another gallop down the practice range, a commotion I cannot see fully makes my horse rear up. For an instant, momentum keeps me pinned to the back of the horse as it starts shaking. Then, as if time is slowing, I can feel myself becoming dislodged. Calm down, boy, calm down. We can use our martial prowess to attempt to calm down our mount, and I think that we will certainly be doing so. I can feel myself being thrown left and right, but no motion can make me loosen my grip on the reins in the saddle. My commands eventually soothe the horse, and the animal is soon back to stomping eagerly on the hard-packed ground, as stable as ever. I'll personally take care to train this one. Oh, we gain a warhorse. I like that idea. Yeah, let's get ourselves a warhorse. Excellent. Lord Harrion of House Karstark comes to pay homage. Excellent. He kneels in deference as attendants bring forth his gifts of coin and precious objects. We accept your generous gifts, Lord Harrion, and we reaffirm your right to rule Carhold and the land surrounding it in our stead. So I suspect we shall be seeing a lot of lords coming to pay us homage. We will hear them all out, and then we will probably go to pay our own liege homage. We will have to speak to our brother at some point, but I think we're kind of holding off for now. But we will have to take care of that in the next episode. Until then, thank you for watching.